or just like pillars. And what this is are the three main categories or three main game design or three main game mechanics that your game is going to use. So for mine, let's have a look. So it'll be these has to just be really broad sort of strokes of what you're covering. So this mine will be evolution, and that's all I need for that. And then let's have a look. Evolution. So what does evolution mean? So that is, just passing your genes onto somebody else, which I said is when you find your mates. I would say combat and upgrading. And that's pretty much what I've only thought of. So upgrading would be your current robot, and then your evolution would be your, I can't type, children robots. And I guess all this would come under I don't know whether or not these are all three game design principle, like three different game mechanics, which I'd assume it would be. This one's relatively easy though once you've got your upgrading and your combat sorted. But I would also could say that all these are part of just maybe survival of the fittest. And then if we say the survival of the fittest is actually just one pillar, then this sort of makes a bit more sense. Which this is perfectly fine when you're creating your design, like your if you think all these are like quite closely related, then you could just change it, especially at this stage when you just generate an idea. So with combat, I don't really want it. It's not really going to be combat. This is going to be, well, survival, and one aspect of it could be combat. The other one could be like searching for resources, or that could be searching for resources or endurance. These could mean the same things, but just write down just whatever sort of comes to mind. That's the most important part, is just getting your idea down. And you can refine it. You can come back to this. This doesn't have to be set in stone. Especially early on. Like later on when you've actually started working development, then it becomes a bit harder. But when you're just literally creating like the first few bits and just getting your idea cemented down, then this can be a bit flexible. So you've got upgrading your robot, survival, and evolution. So they could be pillars in themselves, or they could be the survival of the fittest pillar. But then we have to think, well, what else could this be? And for an example of, I haven't really thought of anything so far for my game. But for an example could be, I don't know, building your base. I don't really want to add this, but that is a feature of, that is another design pillar. And I don't know, another one could be role playing. So say like take Fallout 4. Fallout 4, you have your role playing. That's the main aspect of the game, just generic role playing. Then you have your building your base, which is another important bit. And then perhaps it's just the story. And how does the story like work and into how does the story like intertwine and work itself into the rest of these? So with Fallout 4, you could say that the story with the building the bases, you have to just build up your settlement. That gives people a purpose of like you have to defend, your town. And with this, you could also have like saying, well, like you have scavenging. That's part of the role playing, perhaps, is like you're going out, you're finding all these bits, but then the scavenging is, well, we'll be building the base. Scavenging links with the building of the base, so it's like a little, like a cycle. So building base would be using scavenged parts to build your base. But this, like I said, this is just examples for Fallout. But part of the survival of the fittest, upgrading survival, so you search for resources, that's pretty much doing this scavenging thing. So you can sort of see how it's linking together. And then upgrading could be seeing, yeah, I like the idea. Scavenged. Using scavenged parts. Evolution, improving children, robots. So I would say maybe survival of the fittest. That is pretty much the game, and these are the three main core mechanics. I can't really think of anything else, so we can sort of oops. These are Fallout 4 examples. So that's pretty much. I think this is just good enough for now. Again, if we sort of think of like more overarching things, but the whole purpose of these three pillars is that ooh crap. Typing all caps. These pillars to be so these pillars need to be strongly linked to the gameplay loop. So like a bad example, there you go, can't even spell. But a bad example of an unlinked feature would be if I decided to have like a destructible environment, Because then how would... Okay, well, destructible environment... You have to have a pretty good reason why this destruction of the environment can be linked between survival and upgrading and evolution. You might be, oh, well, okay, well, and when you destroy a building, you search for resources, but then how does that help with your evolution, and how does that help you upgrading? Whereas with these 3 features, these are very strongly linked together. Same with how like the Fallout with the role playing and the base building. I don't know. So that's just the 3 game design pillars, and then you need to sort of think, okay, well, what's the next step?